Hi, welcome back to a new episode of What is New in Vaya 1.7. Today, in the first part, I want to present a new plugin of Vaya, Emissions. MatSim has had an emissions contributions already for quite a while, which calculates different types of emissions given a MatSim scenario, a vehicle fleet, and an emissions database. This contribution then outputs emission events, a special type of MatSim events that contain information about different type of pollutants. The new Vaya plugin is able to load these emission events, such that the emissions can be visualized and analyzed in Vaya. Let's start with an example. I have already loaded the network, vehicles and activities of a scenario. Now, let's add the emissions events file. The easiest way is to just drag and drop the file onto the layers list. Now, let's create the layer. Make sure to select the emissions events file, otherwise you will have a very clean city without any emissions at all. Now we can go to the network settings and choose one of the many new attributes for the links, for example for the color. For each pollutant, 3 different values are available: the sum per link, the sum per meter, or the average per vehicle kilometer. The sum per meter has to be used with care, as long links appear to have much higher emissions than a series of short links. This is where the sum per meter comes handy. It just normalizes the emissions by the link length. This gives us already a much more differentiated picture. If we click on a link with the network query tool, all the values are shown on the side. In addition, we can now do a right-click in the visualization area and select Link Emissions from the menu. This gives us a chart with the amounts of the different pollutants over the course of the day. Again, we can select if we're interested in the total amount of the selected link, normalized per meter or averaged by vehicle kilometer. Also, we can differentiate between cold and warm emissions. If you're only interested in some pollutants, you can select the specific ones. As some of the pollutants dominate the others in the chart, this also helps to see better the smaller values by hiding the larger ones. Now, up to the next major improvement for Vaya in version 1.7, web map backgrounds. We've added web maps as backgrounds about 1.5 years ago in version 1.5. Since then, there were always some visual inconsistencies around the edges of the visualization area, as you can see here in the old Vaya 1.6. In many places off the center, you can observe that the network does not match the underlying map. This is because the web maps use a special coordinate system, and Vaya just makes sure that the center is correctly aligned. But the further away from the center you look, the larger the difference could get. In Vaya 1.7, we improved this massively by reprojecting all coordinates into the coordinate system used by the web maps. So, let's see how it looks now. Let's change back to Vaya 1.7 and add a web map background. Let's zoom out to the full extent. Do you see the difference? The network matches now the map much better. Let's compare it again to the older version. And here again the new one. Another way to help users understand where a scenario is located is adding shapefiles with additional information instead of using a map background. I have here a shapefile showing the train lines in the area, which I can add to Vaya. And I'll add another shapefile containing some natural areas. If you go to the display settings of the natural shapefile, you can see that in Vaya 1.7 you now have much more possibilities to style your shapes. So, for the full color, let's add an attribute mapping, selecting the type attribute, and let's see what attributes values we have. Okay, let's take them all, get rid of the default and set the colors. Blue for water areas and some shades of green for parks and forests. Copy those settings and apply them to the borderline as well. And that's it. In this episode, you've seen the new emissions plugin, the improved webmap backgrounds, and the improved display settings for shapefiles. Take care and see you soon again for another episode of What's New in Wire 1.7. Bye!